personally, for me, I have always asked for more. My background, similar to Pat, I was a political science major at Penn State, so I don't have a fashion background. So I constantly have to, I'm competing with other great people like you guys who went to fashion school. So for me to have that extra edge, I always ask for extra projects, where from my direct manager, is there anything else you need help with before I leave every single day? Or I see that you're busy. If I feel like I'm not as busy and I feel like my boss is busy, I go up to her and say, I see that you're really busy. Is there something that I could take off your plate that I could help you with? Or just having a touch base with her every 2 weeks and like, hey, these are things I am working on, to also let her know what I am doing. I think it's very important to let your boss know what you're doing, because sometimes you get so busy, everyone's working on their projects and you don't know what someone else is doing. So it's very important to let them know what you're doing. And something that I started doing in our office is very casual. There's a VP that sits there. I would like sometimes go in his office and just make some chit chat and be like, today we're launching the Live Love Dream project and footwear is doing this, and just let him know what I'm working at, so I'm constantly at the forefront of his mind sometimes. So you just have to like, just ask for work, even if it's not from someone higher than you, even your peers, be like, hey, can I help you with something? Because all of that is building teamwork and people having a great, once your team knows that you're someone that's reliable, your boss knows that you're reliable, that you're someone they can always pass work to, get it done in a timely manner, in an accurate manner, everyone knows that you're that person that they could count on, and you want to always be that the most reliable person at your job. And that's something I've always aimed to be.
To piggyback off what Sherry said, it's definitely, I agree completely, and I have something to say. We'll talk about that later. But to piggyback off what you said, it's also important to make sure that you're not spreading yourself too thin, I think. And yes, you can have the inclination to ask for more work and want to help everyone, but then there's a thin line of spreading yourself too thin and being overwhelmed with all this new responsibility and new work that you have. So making sure that what you do have on your plate and your core responsibilities are being met before you say, hey, do you have anything else that I need or you need help with? Because you want to make sure that anything that you have to do is being done the way it needs to be done. And if you need to take initiative and do those things better before you ask for more responsibility, I think that's definitely a big plus.
Yeah. Well, that sucks. I go last. No, but to both the points, it's very true. You need to definitely take care of yourself first before you can take care of other responsibility. My most important thing is to do research. Know what needs to be done. Know in and out of your department first, and then you can bring the project up to the management team. Say, hey, I noticed that these things are not being done. Can I take it off your hands and let me take care of it for you? So kind of like have an understanding of what needs to be done before you can actually bring the project up. For me, I'm very observant. I used to be very introverted. I'm not extroverted, so for me to be in client relations is like, what? But so I like to sit back and observe. I like to see all my colleagues and my management team, what are they doing, and then I add on to what I can bring to the table. So I see, my work is done, but this is not done, and how can I go about it? So when you are bringing the project up to the team, like, oh, like this is my way of doing it. So is it possible to carry it out? So kind of have your input as to what needs to be done, so that way the project can be run smoothly and to the way that you want. You don't want to bring a project up to the table and say, well, I don't really know how to solve it, but I'll take it off your hand, I'll figure it out later. That's the number one rule you don't want to do. So always do your research.
Great. What do you think is the best way to learn to navigate a corporate bureaucracy? Pat, do you want to answer?
So I think the best way is just to do your work. Just to keep to yourself and stay true to who you are. There's always going to be, corporate gossip. This happens, it's work. You work with like 3 people. I mean, what else are you supposed to do every day? So just to keep to yourself, do your work, and I think prove your merits. At the end of the day, it's very important for you to be able to deliver what you put out there. So you can't go up to them and say I can do this and not be able to deliver. So know what you're capable of and deliver at the end of the day.
Great. Sherry, how do you find motivation when you're tackling a difficult project?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
How do I find motivation? I have a lot of quotes around my desk. A lot of positive quotes. It's just who I am as a person. Also, I find it important to remind myself what are my goals that I want in my career. Why do I have this job? What are my ultimate achievements? And try to keep myself motivated. Like, yes, this is a difficult time. I'm extremely busy, but remember, this is what you love. This is what you want to do, and it's going to take you to X. Something that I do that I started doing a couple of years ago with my sister is creating a vision board. And I created different aspects of my life, my career, travel, like all these different things. And it's very important for me to keep my career goals at the forefront of my mind and at my desk. So I have like little images and little quotes and stuff like that. And I try to like funnel my energy that way when it comes to be very stressful, when it can become very stressful when you work in fashion. It's not life or death, but everyone acts like it's life or death sometimes. And you're like, we're not saving lives, but it's money, and money is very important. And sometimes decisions you're making is costing thousands of dollars, and you want to make the right decision. So I think it's very important to step back, and if you need to walk away and just take a break or take 5 minutes, and because I've seen people get frustrated and emotional and at work, and not to say that being an emotional person is a bad thing, but sometimes people judge you by having that breakdown at your desk and crying and being like, whoa, and people talk at, they're like, she couldn't keep it together that one time, like, and it's like we all have it, and I think it's important for us to just have something that keeps you motivated. Like for me, being promoted to a buyer, like or being the next whatever that thing is for you, having that at the forefront of your brain and understanding that this time everything will pass, and you have bigger goals, and this is all part of your plan and the plan you created for yourself.
And what keeps you guys motivated?
I think I agree with a lot of that. I think it's making sure that you understand what your contribution is overall for yourself and for your business. For me, I'm managing portfolios for 25 different artists, and they work constantly. So it can be very stressful and very time consuming, and I'm always on the website and uploading and getting thrown into several situations and having to do Fashion Week and also having to do all these different things all at once. So making sure that you can recalibrate and understand what's your priority, what's priority for you, for your boss, for the business, and juggling all that without getting manic. And if you feel that coming on, making sure that you have someone, yourself, an outside person that you can go to and say, listen, I'm overwhelmed, I need help, I need this taken off my plate, and being able to speak to that eloquently and being able to say, this is what I need help with, instead of just saying, I'm overwhelmed. Because people are like, okay, what can I do? And if you can't express what you need help with, or where you're faltering, or where you don't see yourself growing, it's beneficial when you can do that.
Right.
I think for me the best way is I like to make lists, which are always changing. I'm always adding things. And I was telling the panel earlier, I work pretty much 7 days a week. I don't have a day off. I work by appointments. So having a list will really help. And as you tackle them, it kind of motivates, oh yes, only 3 left and I'm done. So it kind of like really helps you throughout the day and just keep you prioritized and know what you need to get done. And I do the same thing Sherry do. I have like real cute little like positive quotes every day. I'm like, tomorrow's another day.
This too will pass.
So it helps a lot to just have something that motivates you, and it's great when you can talk to someone too. I don't typically go to my management team just because I like to keep that professional different. I go to another management in a different division or a different department, just have someone to vent to, and it helps a lot, especially to motivate you, because talking to someone will shed a light on what you need to take into your hand to get it done. Because this is a third person perspective. They're like, oh, maybe you can do this, and it helps alleviate a lot of the problem. So that's for me. Like, just make a list, talk to someone, and then there's a little pull.
Great. And how have you guys shown persistence and tenacity without coming off as annoying as you're reaching these different goals?
I'll start. I think definitely part of it is reading cues that other people are giving off. If you're emailing someone or waiting for them to follow up and they're not reciprocating, they don't showing any interest, they're not following up with you and saying, hey, I'm really busy right now, but I will X, Y, and Z for you. If they're not showing any effort, for me, I think I would step back, but I've also heard of stories of people sending their resume once a week to their dream company and actually it working out. I couldn't do that. But I think it just depends on, it's like you have to read the cues, but also if you think that being persistent and just kind of annoying this person to the point of no end will get you what you want, maybe you should. I mean, what's the harm, right? Yes. Once you get the job, it's like, I was annoying, but it's okay, I got the job.
I think it's all about having fun. Just be casual about it. You just to piggyback on Amanda, what she was saying, is to definitely know the cue and know when to just like sit back and just be like, thanks, and when's that promotion coming? Just let me know, So it's like also having fun with it, and just do it casually when you see especially when you see they're getting annoyed of you or whatever the case. Just have fun and like take it in a different approach. So if you see that's way too serious, you have like a serious conversation, hey, I'm gonna need that promotion. Then take it the more casual route and just be like, oh, let's go get coffee, and then kind of like, oh, so when's my promotion? I'm gonna need that $5 raise. So I think that's my way of doing it.
How to be persistent without being annoying? That's a really good one. I think it's all situational. I think Amanda's correct that you have to take cues. I think at work it's important to read other people. I think some people don't do that and they're very unaware of how annoying they are. I think being aware of how you are and how people respond to you is very important. If you reach out to someone at your company and you're interested in a position, I have a rule where I follow up twice. Even when I pass along someone's resume, it's like, hey, I'm sending you someone's resume, I don't hear a response, I follow up again, hey, just wanted to make sure you got this person's resume, twice. If you can't respond to me on 2 emails and I know you read, then to me, that's it. I'm not gonna, do that. But if it's a cold call, I feel like it's very different because you really don't know who's answering, and I feel like my sister is a makeup artist and she's sent her resume, her portfolio to numerous high-profile people randomly and just gotten things. So I feel like in a cold call, it may be different. I feel like if you have a relationship or you have a working relationship with someone, you just have to like kind of read that person and see how read their energy. Yeah, and a cold call can be 50-50. It literally is like, you may get something, you may not get something. I would never tell anyone, don't send your resume, somewhere it may not happen, because you might be that 1 out of 100 person that on that day they decide to click your email open and out of the 500 they receive every day. So, it's no harm. Doesn't hurt you, do it.
Being annoying isn't the worst thing when it comes to getting what you want. I think you have to.
In a work environment, it could become. If I work in a very small team, so once you're that annoying person, it's kind of hard to shake that. So
perception.
So I feel like when you're doing cold calling, it's it's no one knows you're being annoying, they think
Right.
you're being ambitious. But when you're at work and you're being annoying, people are gonna they say you're annoying, and that's a hard thing to shake.
Yeah, I
You know,
agree
so
with
you
that.
have to read people's, when you're, especially in a work environment, you have to read people's attitude towards you, because I currently have someone who I work with who's very unaware of how annoying they are, and it's very uncomfortable for the entire team because that person is very unaware that
So
they
I-
talk so much.
So I guess in that case, since you're the one perceiving that, have you guys addressed it to that person? How have you guys gone about doing that?
Well, since the director has already spoken to her, given her her first, like, you need to, you know, watch what you say in meetings when there's higher levels. Like, she just doesn't have a filter when we're sitting in meetings with people at a VP title and above.
Mhm.
So she, I mean, and it's sad, but, you know, everyone talks about it. And, you know, they've addressed it to her higher levels, and it's sad because now it's affect her reputation at work and how people perceive her and her ability to sit in meetings on behalf of her boss and even speak.
Got
So just, you know,
Be self-aware.
be very self-aware. You know, people tell you know, just watch their actions towards you.
Great. So Sherry, I know that previously you had done volunteer work at New York Fashion Week for Bag Snob, and then had volunteered with a few other events. What advice do you have on applying your volunteer work or internships to obtaining a full-time job?
So like I said, I graduated Penn State, political science, president of the Law Association, realized my last semester I didn't want to go to law school. It's like, how am I going to get into fashion? Graduated, and I was like, I had to come up with a plan. What was going to be my plan of action? So I said, okay. I started applying for fashion jobs, and I wasn't getting any bite. And everyone was like, your resume is law. Like, Sheldon Silver, Assemblyman, you've all done law things. Like, I couldn't get someone to offer me a fashion job at that time. So I was like, I need to create a plan, and I'm very goal-oriented, plan-oriented, list-oriented person. So it's like, my loans are gonna kick in, I need to start repayment in 6 months, so I'm gonna find a job, and I'm gonna network my butt off. Sorry, I didn't want to do that. Network my butt off until I land my first fashion job. So I got a job that I could, as an administrative assistant for president of a college in the city, paid good, so I put 80% of my salary into my loans because I knew that my first fashion job would probably pay me enough, so I want to get much of my loans paid off. Then I'm like, okay, who do I know in my network? I contact anyone I knew who knew someone that worked in fashion, and I asked that person, do you want to meet for coffee? Can I buy you coffee? Can we talk? Can I pick your brain? And I did that until it landed me someone who worked as a buyer at Saks. When she moved over to Macy's, her first advice to me was to take a retail math class. That was her first advice because I didn't have, she said that was my only disadvantage. So what did I do? I took a retail math class at the job at Barnard. They had a fashion conference, and I was one of you guys, did a fashion conference, networked with someone who decided that she will teach a fashion class on retail math. She was working at PVH at that time, and I did that. The contact who told me to take the retail math class then told me, oh, I just started a job at Macy's. Do you want to interview for a position? Interviewed, got it, foot in the door. Took me 2 years. People always say 2 years is a long time, but this is what I want to do. I knew once I graduated I wanted to be a buyer. And I knew that it would take me long to get there, but however long you think it's gonna take, the time is gonna pass anyway. If you think a year is too long, a year is gonna pass anyway. I've been in the industry for 5 years now, and I could probably say that every job I've taken every job that's gonna take me closer to my ultimate goal. And that's how initially when I was saying, have a goal in mind. What is your ultimate goal? What is your dream? It don't have to happen in a year. It can happen in 10 years. But every internship, every opportunity, every networking event that you go to, make sure that it's towards your ultimate goal. You may take a job and you may hate it, but you know that I am getting X experience that's going to land me to Y job that I need in 4 years. And that's going to be your motivation when you're sitting there and you hate that project you're working on. I love the field, and I'm there. I feel sometimes very stressed and overworked, but I love what I do. I love working in buying. I love working with vendors. I love buying shoes. I'm like, so what's next? What's my next goal? I love this, and how do I keep pushing myself to my ultimate dream job? So, time will pass, do your best, and anything you want to achieve is yours.
Great. And Amanda, I know you have past experience in the publishing world, so how have those skills applied to the fashion world?
Well, when I was in publishing, I was on track to become an editor, and I realized kind of like, I wasn't really passionate about that, and I didn't want to have to do that for 3 years.
Yeah.
So I actually went to a Fine Smart conference and met with someone at the company that I work with now. And it's kind of a little bit, I was using words and working with manuscripts and books when I was in publishing, and now I do that, the same kind of thing, with images. So I'm still contacting people, I'm just not asking them for manuscripts, I'm asking them for the cover of Harper's Bazaar or whatever it is. So having the confidence and the skill set to speak with authority on certain things kind of transferred over, and having work experience transferred over to what I'm doing now. So I mean, that's it, I guess.
Perfect. And Fat, I know that you have been able to work in major markets. You've also, outside of New York, have worked in LA. So was that part of a larger plan, or did that just kind of naturally shift with interests?
It naturally shifts with interest. I actually started out, like I mentioned before, a chemist, so it has nothing to do with fashion. But you take everything with a grain of salt and you kind of go with it. There's a major skill set that you just need to work, period. Whether it is speaking, writing, you take everything that you can and you move forward. So I was actually doing visual merchandising for them in LA. So nothing to do with, again, client relation. It's a total shift of like where I want to be. So back to what Sherry said, great, you have that goal and that mindset. I want to be a director. What do I need to get to that level? And always be open yourself to the opportunity. Never shut it down just because it's not what you want to be, essentially, but it'll help you get there. Why not take it? So there was a position that was open and available, and I was contemplating whether or not, because it's not exactly what I want to do. It's essentially to be a director of client relations, but it's a management position, and it's the next step for me to be able to understand the business. So I think that every job or every opportunity comes along your way, take it with a grain of salt, because everything will teach you a skill, regardless of what it is. So visual merchandising teach you to be observant, to understand the details, to know the taste level of clients, to know what move clients. So you take that and you move into client relations. So now you understand a better of what the client's looking for, to understand the business, how it operates, and everything. Every job I've taken with Sharon Say, you learn something. So take that and know what you need to learn to move to the next step. So there's always that one thing to move to the next step. Like with me, I need to learn how to manage my team better. So therefore I took the position for client relations because it helps me coordinate my team to understand the different, like how to work the different environment appointments, how to work with different personalities. So that's the skill set I'm taking from that job, and then moving on to the next level. So it's always a skill set you look for in a job to help you move forward to the next stop. So I think that's like what I'm
Great.